Hi there, and welcome to this special edition of 10Eighty's Career Insights. Today marks our 1 year anniversary of weekly sessions. So what we're doing is talking to pretty much all the career coaches that have been in sales over the last year. So today I am joined by David, Michaela, Trevor, Alison, and Michael. So hello, everybody. As usual, please do comment. Let us know where you're from and just that you're here. And if you do have any questions or comments, then please do let us know what you found useful as well. So what we'll do is go back and respond to any of those questions or comments afterwards. So we're going to get started with our first question, which we're going to start with David. And that is, what have you found useful about LinkedIn Live over the past year?
I think the key thing for me is that I spend most of my time over the last 2 years on calls where it's just me and an audience of varying sizes. So to actually have, a quizmaster or facilitator, and you did a fantastic job, Sarah, but also to be able to tag team with people like the young man on the call here, Trevor. We had so much fun. I think just working as a pair and kind of feeding off each other. And I think we kept sparking ideas that the other one would pick up on. And I think that worked really well as a formula.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. I think I've definitely got to know people a lot better over this last year because of this as well. So that's really good. Thank you, David. And Michaela?
Oh, David's just stolen my thunder. That's exactly what I had written down, was that normally as a coach, we do a lot of our work in isolation. So I like David, and particularly with us being, working from home for such a long time, that sort of camaraderie and feeding off each other and learning from each other as well has been fantastic. A particular point that I think was really helpful was just to be reminded about things that, because we do this all day, every day, day in, day out, you often forget that things that we think are very simple or very obvious might not be to our clients. And so just reminding ourselves that, all that knowledge that we have, however small or however simple, it can be a real change and a real sort of step change for our clients. So I think that's the big takeaway for me.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Trevor?
Well, I like LinkedIn Live. Well, I mean, the clue's in the name, really. I like the live element of it because I think that when something is live, it feels more spontaneous and natural. I mean, it's easier to do live things in some ways because as long as you're comfortable with that, then things come out naturally. And I think in the way that people understand it, if you spend too much time sort of thinking about what you're going to say, then it can come out quite stilted and so on. And I've enjoyed my sort of collaborations with David and yourself, Sarah, because they have been spontaneous and live, and I think that's probably come across in the way the audience have reacted to that.
Yeah, brilliant. I agree. I think when I'm doing a pre-recorded one, I find that much more difficult actually than the live. It's really, really bizarre, and I found myself stumbling a bit more when I'm not live than when I am, which is odd. So excellent, thank you. And Alison?
I mean, I agree with all my colleagues. I think that working together and collaborating has been amazing, but I've enjoyed the short sort of bite-sized chunks of information. I think they've been great for clients, and also, challenging ourselves to step into this world of video and presenting, and it's been new and it's been great, and it's been fun to do, and that's to say, all supported by you, Sarah. So yeah, well done. Great idea, I think.
Brilliant, thank you. And Michael?
So I'm going to do a name check. I thought the Claire Endicott, Mark Whitmore sessions on video and interview preparation have been fantastic. And I do so because I like the contrasting styles. Claire's detail orientated, very precise, very measured. And then you've got Mark sort of completely off the cuff, sort of taking the conversation anywhere. And a personal highlight would be when the postman arrived during one of them. He was very, very blasé as he did it. So yeah, the video sessions of Claire and Mark are my personal highlight.
Excellent, thank you. Go over to you, Jo, to start.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. Firstly, it's obviously been such a varied list of topics, which has been great. But I've also found that even working with new clients more recently, I've been able to refer them back to previous broadcasts. So that it's great to have a sort of historical record of all the different topics that we've covered and refer clients back. And I think also, just perhaps on a personal note, it's a great chance to be able to talk and see to colleagues.
Excellent. Yeah, I found that really good as well, to get to know my colleagues better actually over this past year, which you wouldn't have thought was going to be the case going through a pandemic. But yeah. Okay, Claire.
Well, I think when I was first asked to do this, the thought of doing something live, which was recorded, was really challenging. But a year on, whether that's been talking about maternity coaching or interviewing skills, it's not quite as daunting as I thought. So to anyone out there that's been asked to do this for work, do give it a go and you'll surprise yourself, I think.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Definitely, I was the same when I was asked to start doing it. I was terrified, but I've really loved it. And Liz.
Yeah, well, as Joe alluded to, I think the variety of sessions has been fantastic for clients and what they're looking for. But more on a personal note, I got a lot out of the session run by Nigel Williams and Paula Jordan, our trustees, on NED's portfolio careers and trusteeships. It's something that I've set myself as a career goal for 2022, and I've started to take the first steps. I'm getting my CV tweaked for a trustee role, and also I've signed up for getting on board's charity board leadership program that starts in January. So that was all helpful.
Oh, brilliant. That's really good. So we can refer clients to you then for up-to-date practical advice, Liz. Brilliant. Maria, if we can start with you.
Hi. Yeah, I think for me it's that it's always been really up to date, and the job market over the past year has probably been not what any of us would have expected, actually. That, you know, there's lots of opportunities out there, and I think it's great that we've been able to pick up on that. So one that particularly stood out for me was dealing with more than one job offer at a time, which maybe we wouldn't have anticipated doing at the beginning of the year, but is actually quite relevant because that sort of thing is happening. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, it's been really good to be able to respond that quickly, as you say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Chris, over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've absolutely loved doing these. It's been, I've loved the energy and the discussion and the comments, and I think we've added some great value out there to people that are looking for a career shift. And one of the LinkedIn Lives that really stood out for me was one that David and Trevor did. And it was around business development, and being an SME business owner myself, it obviously resonated a bit. But one tip they shared, which I think could apply whether you have your own business or you're looking for a career, was to pick up the phone, call people, because it's not something that we tend to do these days. We tend to hide behind an email or a direct message. And another great tip was that, you know, the reason that people don't get back to you isn't always what you think. And I think especially when it comes to, you know, rejections, we just did a LinkedIn Live this week about staying resilient after an interview where you've gotten rejected. Just don't always assume that you know what's going on out there until you've tried to follow it up. So that's what I'd say. Be disruptive, call people, and don't assume that you know why people haven't gotten back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. And Urvashi?
It's hard to pick which is the one that resonates with me, but I think I find all of them really useful. But the thing I really can't take away from the LinkedIn is the discussion we had with the audience. I think that was really valuable. I mean, I did one with Chris, yourself, on managing change. That one was very useful for me because, you know, we're all going through a change, and resilience is the key buzzword at the moment we're all going through. And it takes different shapes on a daily basis, even now. You know, how do you manage all this? But I think the fact that people are able to call in and the questions they asked and the issues they're having were so real. So you can't really prepare for that. Having to think on your feet and the value they brought in their questions and having to answer them, I thought that was a really valuable experience for me. And it was a real privilege.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It can take a complete change in direction, can't it, depending on the questions that you get asked. So, yeah, you do have to be able to kind of think on your feet a little. So, yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. And Jill?
Yeah, well, I would say it's having the opportunity to do it and finding that you can do live sessions. You can think on your feet, that you actually, how much knowledge you've got there is more than enough for half an hour. And then that in the moment, being able to answer people's queries and questions. And what's been amazing, quite humbling, they've been from all over the world. And knowing that you'll be able to make a difference because we recorded them. So you can either direct people you know to go and look and actually find one that's relevant to a particular question that they've got. Now, I've really enjoyed doing them. And I've learned a lot by listening to my colleagues as well.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And Hannah?
So I'm with Jill. I think the part about learning, so I did the very first one. So managing my nerves and boosting my confidence was great in terms of my development. But I've also really enjoyed being able to reach a wider audience. So obviously not everybody gets outplacement or career transition. So it's really nice that we can give something back to those who didn't, especially at a time that was really quite tricky. And to be honest, and it's one of the reasons I go to work, is I want to know I'm making a difference. So that for me has been a massive plus.
Yeah, excellent. That's been really good. Okay, and now over to you, Catherine.
Great. So I think what I've found most useful about LinkedIn Live over the past year is the fact that it's something completely new to me. So I've really learned new skills. I've never done LinkedIn Live before this year. And as I come and reflect on that at the end of the year, I've really enjoyed it and sort of started to create a comfort zone around it. So I feel like I've really built and learned some new skills, which is always a great thing to do.
Excellent. Yeah, I've definitely been learning on my feet as we've been going through, so I can totally relate to what you're saying there. Okay, so for the rest of the year then, so I'm conscious that we're going to have a fair few people who are job seeking at the moment. So what is your top tip for those people for the rest of the year? So Jo?
I suppose it's really to keep going. You know, it's very easy to say, oh, it's 1st of December soon, you know, it's getting towards Christmas, everything's going to go quiet, so I'm going to sort of, you know, give up. I would say keep going. And I know definitely in the past, I've had clients who've interviewed and even had a job offer on those 3 magic days between Christmas and New Year. So do keep going. And also don't forget, coming to the end of the year, it's a great time to reconnect with anyone on your network. You know, Christmas is a good excuse. So maybe a message or a card, just to keep your network open and going. And if you don't hear back from people, you can maybe wish them, you know, a happy new year at the beginning of January. So yeah, keep going.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jo. And Claire?
Well, potentially the next couple of weeks could well be challenging. They're certainly very uncertain. But yes, to stay in touch with people, whether that's friends or former colleagues, to keep in contact with your network. Obviously be a bit thoughtful about your conversations, calibrate them as to who you're speaking, but particularly if you're looking for a new role, people can't help you if they don't know that you need it.
Excellent, thank you. And Liz?
Well, I ran the session of networking, so it won't be surprising to hear that my advice would be keep on going, keep in touch with your network, send them a Christmas card or a Christmas email to keep in touch, and then with the objective of, you know, meeting up in the new year, or virtual calls in the new year, just to keep that going, and also don't just think about yourself, really think about networking being a two-way thinking how you can help them for the long term.
Excellent, thank you. So David.
This is a bit tricky one for me because I'm 100% focused on helping people who are looking to set up their own business, whatever that looks like. What I would probably be saying to them, and have been saying to them, is it's a great time of year to send a message to people, particularly, you know, as a Christmas card or a personalized, you know, message, whatever it may be, and to thank them for all the help and support they've had during 2021. It doesn't take a lot to do that, but it means a lot to the other parties. So that would be mine.
Brilliant, thank you. Michaela?
I don't like coming after David because he keeps stealing my lines. So I've got 2 things. So the first thing is, I think, you know, take a break over Christmas. You know, when you're looking for a job, the tendency is just to keep going and keep going and keep going. And, you know, it's all going to go quiet. Everybody else is taking a break. So just give yourself that time and that space. But the second thing for me is as David said, this is, you know, I did the session on networking, and this is a brilliant time of the year to network. Just really simply, you know, as David said, sending a quick email saying Happy Christmas, thanks for your support, you know, have a great 2022, you know, whatever it is. But that is a form of networking. It's keeping in touch with, you know, with your connections. It's reminding them you're there, and it's a very simple and easy thing to do. So that would be my top tip.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michaela. And Trevor?
Well, I would say that in the run up to Christmas, we're all kind of thinking the same things, that we're just thinking, I've got to get this done before Christmas, got to get that done before Christmas. And we all go helter skelter, busy. Plus, you've got all the various sort of social activities happening as well. And it's just tempting to just get caught up in it. And I would say at the time when you're most busy in these next few weeks, actually just stop. From time to time, it's almost where mindfulness becomes much more important. Just stop, even if it's for a few minutes, and I don't know, look at the Christmas trees or the lights, or just think about the year that's just gone and who you should be thanking and appreciating. And so it's kind of when you're busy, that's the moment where you should actually take a moment just to yourself to be a minute, or it can be an hour. Just do it because that gives you proper perspective.
Brilliant, thank you. And Alison?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that's been said again, but I think it's about balance really, and I think my view would be to take some well-earned time out with the family, because as Michaela said, everything does stop pretty much by the last week in December, and therefore I think that you know, it's about choice really. You've got to make a choice, but I think enjoy some time with the family and and have a rest.
Great. Okay, and Michael?
So when you write the last one, there's nothing you can't add. It's already been said. So I'm going to summarise. So 1 is send your Christmas cards. 2, spend time with the family. 3, savour the moment.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, the Christmas period is a time when we're normally contacting lots of people. So it's actually a really good opportunity to network, to remind people that you're around, maybe update people on what you're doing if you're looking for a role. So it's kind of, you can do it very naturally, I think, at this time of year. So that would be my top tip, is to make the most of it and tell people where you are, tell people what you're doing.
Brilliant, thank you. And Chris?
Yeah, well, when I was thinking about this this question, 3 words kind of sprang to mind. So it was reflect, recharge, and reset. So, you know, reflect on, you know, what's gone well this year, how far you've come, you know, what was just an idea last year that is now a reality now. Recharge by spending lots of time with family and friends and making the most of all the opportunities to get that, you know, get the emotional bank account filled. But reset in terms of thinking about your goals for next year, because actually December is really the best time to sit there and plan, so that when January comes, you're off and running and ready to get out there and make connections and have interviews, because you already know what you're going to do. So I would say to sit down and actually plan and set some goals in December as opposed to January.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I was working with one of Hannah's clients today, and he said he's been told by Hannah he needs to be ready to go on the 1st of January. So he's using the rest of the year to be in that position. So I think that's great that we're all practicing the same advice. Thank you. Avashi?
I think December is always a hard month. You know, it's dark and it's dingy, and we feel kind of slightly bloated because we're eating, and, you know, there's more food. I just say relax. But it depends on where you are in your journey, in your career. And if you haven't done anything, and like Maria said, if you are meeting people, parties, use that opportunity, but very naturally. But I would say, do ask for support, because if you don't ask, they won't know it. So don't assume they know it. So in some way, humility is a very good quality in job hunting, or anyway. But I think don't be so humble. They're not asking for the support you need. So do that. And I would do that by letting them know what impact you've made, you know, in whatever shape or form, whether it's a job or career, you know, the impact can be made in lots of different avenues, not just in a career job. So show them your impact, demonstrate that. And also be generous in giving, you know, giving by sharing what you've learned, because people can get a lot of value of that. I think first and foremost, just relax. You know, it's been a hard year and it's going to get harder. So the first thing, give yourself permission to relax as well, and not get too much hung about what you should be doing too much. And that will hold you in a good stead when it does turn.
Yeah, good advice. Relax, I think. Yeah. Jill, over to you.
Well, I think in a way you can, with the rest of the year, we've got really up until about the 23rd, 22nd of December when people will be around. So I think make the most of that time and then take the rest of it to actually enjoy the festive season. But I think it's an ideal opportunity to send a really nice update, like an email, it can be a phone call, it can be a card, however that is, to as many people as possible, because you've got a great excuse. It's Christmas. And it can be one that's so positively worded. And then you can tell them about what you're looking for in your situation, because it's a natural time of year to do it. So take advantage of what's on offer and then really clear the decks and think about where you want to be for the beginning of next year. So you've got that fresh start, you come back with that extra energy and everything's ready to go.
Brilliant. And Hannah?
So, and mine is quite short and sharp, but mine's prepare and share. So I think you use this time to prepare for next year, get yourself in order, do the things you want. And I think it's a time to give back. It's to share your time. So, you know, do something for other people, build those credits in the bank. So next year people will help you.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. And then. Okay. Okay, so a top tip from you, Catherine?
Yes, I think my top tip for the rest of the year is to really look at the opportunity to connect maybe with contacts you haven't spoken to in a while, and think about wishing them a happy new year in the same way we probably do it with friends and family. I think it's a really nice opportunity to connect in, and it just gives them, it just reminds them, I guess, that if there is something coming up in the new year that they might want to consider you. So that would be my top tip.
Excellent, thank you. Finally, can you share a tip for the new year relating to either job hunting or career development more generally? So, Maria.
Yeah, I think mine is work out what ideally you really want. And it's kind of, you may not get your perfect, but you could get close to it. So, and if you don't work out what you really want, then you're not going to get it. So I think the important thing is, yeah, to know ideally where you'd want to be.
Yeah, great, excellent. Being clear. Chris?
Yeah, and I think once you know what you're clear on, just to build on her wonderful point there, because that's absolutely the right thing to do. I deal with, most of my clients seem to be making career transitions, you know, from one industry or sector to another. And we often think that we're going to sort of have a light bulb moment and just make a big jump. And actually, a career transition is a series of very small micro steps. So what I would encourage you to do is, once you have this plan in place, you then start to break it down into actions that are so achievable that you can't not take them, okay? Because, you know, can you send one email? Can you make one phone call? Can you research one company or find one event in an industry that you're interested in? Because what happens is, as you take the little micro steps, it helps you to stay motivated and energized, because we often feel, we need to be motivated to take action. And actually, it's the other way around. The action helps us to stay a bit motivated and enthusiastic. And it also kind of shapes our identity as someone who is proactive and is taking action. So I would encourage you to think in terms of, what are those little micro steps that you can do just to move you that little bit forward and keep you going when things do get tough.
Excellent, thank you. Urvashi?
Yeah, I think what Chris said is absolutely spot on. Do all the sensible things you need to do to get ahead next year. But I think what I'd like to kind of talk about is the fact that after you've relaxed over the festive season, really connect with yourself. John Perry makes a good distinction between self-esteem and self-worth. Self-esteem is about achieving, getting the job, you know, getting the promotion, all the stuff we do to improve ourselves in our life, which is very important. But self-worth is what you're born and what you have. You already are enough. And I think sometimes we forget our self-worth. And I think the job hunting, really remind yourself of your self-worth. And if you act from that place, you'll have all the confidence to do all the steps you need to do to get the job. So I think really connect with that self-worth and kind of empower yourself with that.
Excellent, thank you. And Jill?
Well, I think mine is actually keep learning. So it might be a time when you're job hunting, but it's also a time you've got more flexibility, perhaps to catch up on those little bits of learning or webinars or book reading that you didn't have time to do when you were fully employed. Because if we don't keep learning, we actually go backwards. We have to keep learning to even stay in the same place. So that's mine.
Good, okay. And Hannah?
And mine is to set yourself a goal to add at least somebody, one person or two new to your network a month, and really grow that. Use this time that you're not in work to develop your career and your network.
Excellent advice. Okay, thank you very much. David or Trevor? So David?
Yeah, I think the thing I've seen work quite well, it's almost like making a New Year business resolution. Yeah, and it's like a psychological contract with yourself. But to come up wherever you are in terms of prepping to launch, just launched, or looking to take it to the next level, to sort of come up with 10 issues or factors that in your business are critical to success, and then spend a bit of time figuring out how could I improve the way I handle each of these by 1%. Because if you add those 10 1% together, it can make a huge disproportionate difference. It's one of the things that's attributed to England winning the Rugby World Cup in 2003, that they took that approach with their entire kind of game. Team GB, in terms of the cycling, it's one of the reasons why they were repeat gold medalists in the World Championships and the Olympics. This kind of rule of the marginal differences. So that's what I'd encourage everyone to do.
Brilliant, thank you. Michaela?
So I think my top tip is around planning. And I think this might help with the Christmas break piece as well, because, you know, I find that if I've got so much going on and there's loads in my head, just, you know, I love a list and I love being able to tick things off. So sort of having a list of things that you want to think about for the new year. As David said, you know, it's the time for New Year resolutions, doing things slightly differently, isn't it? So, you know, having all those things written down, go away, have your break, get your perspective, come back, and then get yourself a plan. You know, what is it that I'm going to do in this new year? What am I going to do in January? And make it simple and effective, because if you try and you know, we always go in with these big New Year resolutions, don't we? And we never actually achieve half of them. So if you just kind of keep to the basics, keep it simple, and give yourself something that's manageable, then you start the new year with with a flying start.
Excellent. And I guess the list can be in different formats, can't it? So this year, I've always struggled with actual lists, but this year I had the genius idea for me of using a piece of flip chart paper. So I just have that on my floor next to me, just write things on it. And that seems to really work. So I guess it's finding whatever mechanism works for you. But yeah,
absolutely. You know, I've got clients who draw pictures, do mind maps, do lists. You know, there's lots of different ways of doing it, but whatever works for you is, you know, that's what you do.
Excellent. Okay, Trevor?
Well, most of the year I have a sort of a calendar or to-do list, and so you're getting involved in those tactical daily things. At the beginning of a year, I think especially everyone having had a break, I literally get out a piece of paper, a blank sheet of paper. I actually get one of those A3 sheets, you know, so I can sort of scribble all over it and sort of put things in corners and join things up. And I literally start again. I think in a sort of, if anything was possible, what would you actually be wanting to do? So I start that way. And then you kind of work backwards from that. Well, if I want to do that in, say, 10 years' time, what does that mean for 1 year time? What does it mean for 3 months' time? What does it mean for next week? You know, in terms of actually going there. And sometimes you come up with very broadly similar things to a plan you might have already, but sometimes you think of something completely new. And so I think literally start with a blank sheet of paper about why you want to do something, what do you want to do, who do you need to talk to get something done about it, and so on.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, Alison?
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone's comments are very similar, but yeah, my thought is new year, new you. It is a great time to review what you want, you know, what's important to you. A phrase I often use with my clients is, you know, how do you want to show up in the new world? And so how do you want to show up in the new year is equally as important. And it is a time to say, rejuvenate and reinvent yourself and rebrand yourself almost. Spend a bit of time thinking about you for a change. And as everyone has said, make some plans in order to make that happen.
Brilliant, thank you. And Michael?
So, plug for 1080 first and foremost, that next year is our 10th anniversary. And when you look at the way we get business, so last year we traded with 72 corporates. 70 came from personal recommendations, people who knew of us or recommended to us. So my advice is that, and I know most people understand networking is key to job searching, but I don't think most people understand the concept of networking. Networking is about helping other people. It's about investing in your network, creating credits at the bank. And so my advice is to sort of, this is my sort of Christmas message, the world will be a better place. Go out there and start helping people. Those people in your network you like and you care for, think, what can I do for them? Because I know if you're doing that, ultimately they will help you. So that's Michael's message and Christmas message: help other people.
Okay, so finally, Catherine, over to you for job hunting or career development tip in the new year.
Yes, I think I would definitely start by considering what my goal is for 2022 and writing it down so that you have something to really aspire to and work towards as you go through the next year. The other thing I think is really can be really helpful is to create a jar that is empty, and every time you have a success or something that's gone really well or you're proud of, write that down and put it in the jar, and that gives you an opportunity at moments throughout the year to look back on those successes and really reflect on the things that you've done really well.
That's a really nice idea. It's a bit, I think I used to have an email folder where I put nice emails, and when you're having kind of a down day, you can go back and have a look at that, can't you? So yeah, it's a really great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Okay, so looking forward to the new year, is there a tip that you can share for the new year relating to either job hunting or career development in more general terms? So Jo, do you want to start again?
Yeah, I guess mine's quite a sort of a general comment, really. I always say to people, have a schedule. You know, you can't job search all day, every day. You will drive yourself potty. So, you know, stick to a schedule and make sure you put into that schedule some nice things for you, so that it's not just about job search, but you've actually, you know, I don't know, reconnected with somebody or brushed up on your French or whatever it is. Just do something nice and different. So stick to a schedule and pace yourself. And I suppose, you know, more importantly, really, is to be kind to yourself, because, you know, it's an anxious time for everybody, and it's important to really look after your well-being as well.
Great, thank you. And Claire?
Yes, it's really a thought, you know, to anyone that's watching this that perhaps is without employment, and particularly if that's not been their decision. I just want to say that the skills, the character, the panache that secured your previous role are still there. The landscape may have changed, but your inherent capabilities have not. So learn from the experience, develop new skills if that's appropriate, but don't be defined by the bumps in the road.
Thank you. And Liz?
For me, it's around taking an hour a week and devoting it to personal development. It could be work related or personal time, but it should be downtime when you take time off and enjoy yourself.
Brilliant. Really good. So lots of really good advice there. Thank you. So next week there's going to be a week off. So our first week off in a year. We'll be back on the 22nd of December when we're going to have a bit of a Christmas special with Michael, Liz and Hannah. And then back in January when we've got some external guests. So it's going to be really exciting to have some different people to talk to about their particular specialist topics. So thank you very much for watching for the past year. And as always, please do feel free to ask any questions you might have. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.